For example, vitamin D is not recommended by the government, and if they find that the doctor tells their patient take vitamin D, they can actually have their license suspended, and there's fines of up to $200,000 and prison of 6 months.
Canada Day celebrations are going on across the country, and for the most part, they're kind of normal, I guess. Some cities tried to cancel the fireworks, some actually did cancel them, some of the people rose up and got those fireworks back. But in the main, kind of the same. But not here on the grassy knoll in Maple Ridge. Here, people have been out fighting for the freedoms that they feel that they have lost. They've been doing it for a year and a half, rain, shine, snow, hail, 2 days a week for a year and a half, all volunteer. And so why are they having a celebration here where they do the protests, celebrating here on Canada Day? I wanted to come down and find out. Here on Canada Day on the grassy knoll with Leah Paulette. Leah, you have led the charge on the grassy knoll for a long time. When did you start, and why did you start protesting out here?
We started in January 2022, so we've been here for a year and a half. And it was in response to the lockdowns and the government not listening to the people. And we just wanted to let the people of Maple Ridge know that they weren't alone, because you kind of had this sense that a lot of people were questioning what was going on, but didn't feel like they had support or that they could speak up. So that's one of the reasons, just to raise awareness and get the word out there that people aren't alone. And yeah.
Well, unlike most people who go to Canada Day once a year, you and your volunteers have been out here every Wednesday and Friday, that's twice a week, for a year and a half. That's a lot of dedication.
Yes.
Why do you think that happened?
Full disclosure, we're not doing Fridays through the summer, because despite what people think, we do have lives and jobs. But we are dedicated to this movement because I think a lot of people think that things are okay right now, but they're not really paying attention to what's happening in our government and worldwide. And so we just want people to really understand that they need to get educated, they need to get informed, they need to connect to local people who understand what's going on. And a lot of our signs are keywords, or they reference bills that are being passed in our government right now, and we just want them to, as we're driving by, be like, oh, like, what's that bill about? And maybe they'd be, inspired to go and check it out, because there's some stuff happening in our government right now. Even though we're not in the height of the crisis of mandated vaccines for most people, they still do exist. We still have large parts of our population mandated, and so the fight, frankly, isn't over.
Where do you see things going from here?
I think it's only going to get better for those who understand what's going on, because once you awaken to the corruption that's taking place in our government, there's really no going back. You don't have people leaving this side and going back to being asleep. Once they're here and they understand and their eyes start opening to a lot of the corruption, there's just no going back. So I think that as more and more people become aware of what's going on, there's going to be more and more pushback to these policies and mandates and laws that the government is trying to force us to be beholden to.
Well, can you describe the type of people that you've met over the last year and a half that have come out here to the grassy knoll? Rain, shine, snow, being abused, yelled at, sworn at, honked for.
Yeah,
it's been a lot.
We're an eclectic group, actually. We have people from all walks of life, people from all demographics, all races, actually all sexualities. It's a diverse group of people, and they're just all people who love our country of Canada and are concerned about the direction it's taking, and the unnecessary control that the government is helping itself to. So all walks of life, all ages. It's super diverse.
Where do you see this, shall we call it a freedom movement? Is that fair? Or how would you describe the movement?
Yeah. freedom movement or just truth seekers. We just want to know the truth. I think a lot of us have been, you know, just speaking like for myself, for example, over the decades, you know, you've heard things and you kind of be like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but you don't really like absorb it and really think about the implications of it. And so I think it's trying to get people to connect the dots to things that are going on and to just dig deep down and get the truth, and not to take things just firsthand from our media or from our government, just to really question what are their motives, what's really going on behind the scenes, why are they trying to do what they're doing. And we're just trying to encourage people to make those connections themselves and just to dig deeper around issues to try and basically find the truth. So, and I think in finding the truth, we can find our freedom, because if you know the truth, then you're free.
What would you say to Canadians who have a bad negative image, let's say, perhaps brought on by some media reports from the convoy time, to freedom fighters? How do you address that?
Yeah, well, I mean, in terms of like our rally, for example, we actually get way more support than we get haters. There's the odd person that will call out, like, get a job. Well, I have 3 jobs and I still make time for this. So there's less haters than the media likes us to believe. And so I would actually like to use it as an encouragement for people to be brave and speak up. To speak up and speak truth, because they're trying to silence us by name calling, and there's actually more of us than we realize. And so just to find your voice. And in terms of the haters, really it just comes from a place of ignorance for most of them. And once they start like getting little bits of information and their eyes start to open, you know, they start to second guess maybe their preconceived notions of who and what we are. And, you know, for example, we had a sign at one point that talked about removing SOGI from the education system. And SOGI is a controversial issue where they're trying to sexualize our children within the school system. I strongly encourage you to get informed about what really is happening to our children. And we had a sign talking about that, and there was a mother who pulled up, and she tore up the sign and tried to drive away with it in her car, and we intercepted her. We ended up having a half-hour meaningful conversation with her just to really educate her about what SOGI is. And she was upset because her child identifies as SOGI, which actually isn't even a thing, but whatever. And so she was offended because she thought that we were talking about removing her child from the school system. And we're not against children, and we're not against confused children. We just want the truth to get out there. There's a convoy leaving right now, so check that out.
Check it out. There's some action going there. Familiar honking. That's great. A lot of support down here today at the Grassy Knoll.
Yeah, so in the end, after talking to her, making her understand about what SOGI actually was doing within the school system, it was a really pleasant experience in the end, a really positive experience. And there ended up being hugs of joy, just being able to like break that barrier of perception from the general public. So, bye.
The family. Got a great husband there. So supportive. When you look to the future and being out on this grassy knoll, what's the best outcome in your mind could happen?
We don't need to be here anymore. Like, honestly, like, I don't really want to be here every week. But right now it's necessary. I feel called by God to speak truth. There's not enough of that happening in our society right now. And but yeah, ultimately, I really don't want to be here. I would love to just get back to my hobbies and spend more time with my family. But right now, my family needs me in this way to stand up for their truth, their freedom. And so I'll do it till I don't have to anymore.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you, that Leah, that you think is really important that Canadians know about this fight that's ongoing? I would just encourage people to get informed and get involved.
I know it feels a little bit like it's not urgent right now, but you're being tricked by the government and you're being distracted by issues that are not issues. And so don't give up the fight. Get involved. Find a local freedom group. People who are interested in the truth. Get connected with them and create that momentum within the movement so we can just end this sooner and hopefully our children can have a future that we're all proud of.
Thank you and happy Canada Day.
Same to you. Happy Canada Day.
WakingUpCanadians.com. That's my website. WakingUpCanadians.com, and on Telegram, Waking Up Canadians. Everything's there.
Hi there, my name's Rick Dignard. I'm with Independent BC.
And this is a little bit different Canada Day than most Canadians are used to participating in. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, there's been a group of people here coming to what's called as the Grassy Knoll. It's sort of, I think it's been like twice a week for different periods of time, but there's always been a group here leaving information out, signs, flag waving, very patriotic group. But this particular Canada Day here, I've talked to a few different people, and it's almost like we remember how we used to celebrate Canada Day. We're not doing it like that. We're still celebrating, but we're actually just celebrating the fact that we're still strong. You can see all the signs out here and the flags and the information that people drive by on the highway here. That's not something we used to do on Canada Day. We used to just tie one on and have fun, but now we're letting people know we're still here, we're still fighting. And there's been so many people that have come very what do you want to say, they're diehards, right? They've been diehards coming out here in the rain and snow and the tough weather and everything. So it's kind of like a celebration of everybody that's been fighting the good fight and not giving up and never will give up. So it's nice. I'm proud to be here.
Would you describe this group of people as sort of convoy supporters? How would you describe them?
Well, I think
Freedom
everybody.
fighters?
I think everybody here would support the convoy for sure. But it's not just a convoy thing. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on, a lot of other different things going on in our world that people sometimes are, convoy centric, or maybe they're dealing with something like just the SOGI stuff in school, like their grandkids are going through stuff right now, so they're coming out and having a talk. One guy was just talking about some family things he's having with friends over the whole vax being forced and all that kind of stuff. There's a different thing for everybody, but we all talk about common sense issues, not stuff that's being talked about on TV like the play that we know it is, right? So yeah, it can be a lot of different types of people.
When you look at the freedom movement, would you say it's fair to call it a freedom movement that these folks are involved in? And how would you describe that movement?
I think it's morphed a little bit where, it's called a freedom movement, but it's to me it's kind of odd because it's almost just that has seemed to almost separate people. Even people that believe in freedom don't even act proud of it. It's almost like they have to be hush-hush about it. That's disturbing because, people are willing to celebrate, or honor the veterans on Remembrance Day, but they don't really realize that everybody that comes out here constantly are those minds, those people that are willing to fight for, people fought for us. A very tiny percentage of people fought for all of us so we could have good lives. We never asked them to, right? We never asked them to. They never asked us if we wanted help. They helped us. They fought for us. And that's why we're not all, speaking German today or whatever would have happened if we didn't have people fight for us. So I think a lot of people that should know better should unlock their thinking a little bit and not sort of pigeonhole people and, oh, you're one of those loud, horn honking freedom people. No, these are just passionate people about our freedom, as were people that fought for us, just a different time. So, give your local freedom fighter a pat on the back and a thank you, because they're kind of a new age soldier, really. Like, they're taking a lot of hits from people that they for whatever reason hate freedom or hate the idea of it or even hate our flag. I don't get it. I don't know what's wrong with a person's mind that would do something like that, but we're working on it, right? So
How would you describe the state of Canada today?
it's very sad. I believe it will get better. I think there's going to be some real hard lessons for people that think that this is all over and everything's fine. It's not. There's a lot of things going on. It's just not on people's TVs, so they tend to believe that everything's fine, like I said, and a lot of people know better. They can see things that are that slow boil, like how they say the slow boil of the frog until the frog is, finally hits that temperature, right? And so people are on top of it. I think that's frustrating for the globalist people that want things just to be in their control faster. So, people are standing strong, and we have to continue to do that,
How would you describe the people that you've met during over the last couple of years in the freedom movement?
Really amazing people. Like, I've had quite a big exchange of friend groups, and not that the other people were bad people. They just fell for this garbage, and I feel kind of bad for them. But yeah, you're drawn to like-minded people, and we've been able to have open discussions. There's no kind of awkward feeling or anything around anybody. We can talk about anything, which is kind of nice. Like, I don't like having to watch what I say around groups and stuff. I just can't be bothered for small talk. So I get into some pretty interesting conversations, and everybody's just different, and it's a pretty cool group of people. Anywhere you meet, I've been all across the country, and everybody's the same. We will talk about anything, and even when we disagree on a few things here and there, we're still like, having a beer together, and it's a really good energy. So I'm really proud of that.
You mentioned SOGI earlier. You're involved, Rick, with getting people aware of what SOGI is. What would you like to say about that?
I'm actually really pleased to see so many different demographics. The last few times I've been to an event, there's always new faces, there's always different demographics, there's always different cultures. They can't, label people racists or any kind of pigeonhole them into. It's everybody out there now. So every time we go to an event, we are seeing new people, different faces. I think we have them on the run personally. They keep throwing money into this cause, this indoctrination, forcing things on people. We're going to win that war. We know we're going to win that war. We just have to get as many people as possible that are common sense, level-headed, to speak up. You can't keep your mouth shut and expect anything to change. Look at anything in history. If you've got grandkids, kids, young people in your family, if you're an uncle or an aunt, pay attention to what they're doing to your kids. It's horrific what they're doing to their minds.
If people don't know what SOGI is, can you just briefly?
Well, SOGI is a program that came in several years ago, sexual orientation and gender identity in schools. So it's a United Nations thing. All governments are backing it. It's all about a money trail from, basically from the UN's point of view. So we've got people on the SOGI task force that they know all of the details of the history of this and everything, and they've got a lot of really good information for people to read. It's quite simple. Your children shouldn't be indoctrinated in sexual issues at such young ages without the parents knowing anything of the program. So you can get a hold of the SOGI task force. You can find out what schools have which books, what your kids are seeing, and a lot of them are being told not to tell their parents. It's absolutely disgusting what's going on, and people should know. I mean, this isn't the kids' fight. This is the parents, and even the kids now are coming out and pushing back. So, which is really sad. The parents should be there right in front of their kids. Get away from my kids. That's a line that we're not going to allow that they cross.
I see you have a badge on here, Independent BC.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So Independent BC, it's a nonprofit education platform that is geared to getting people to understand you have a choice when you go vote provincially. You don't have to always vote for a party. For an example, a lot of people that used to vote no longer vote anymore. Half of our voting eligible voters don't vote anymore. So that's a massive demographic. It's also a majority government in this province. So we're trying to get this platform out. We're going to be physically traveling around the province, talking to different groups in different ridings around the province, and we are going to try and educate people on the merits of supporting your local, informed, independent candidate. And we're going to provide a platform so that these independents, where traditionally they're alone on an island, they have an umbrella of like-minded independents in other ridings around the province, and there's a network there, and they would be standing up. They would be standing up for people that want to vote but don't want to vote for the parties anymore, to vote for their local independents. Whereas these local independents, they work for the people directly, not the parties. So that's what the platform's about, and we've just started it, and we're literally, our first town hall is in a few days on the Sunshine Coast. We're going to be talking to a group there and look forward to it, and we look forward to getting around the whole province. So pretty exciting.
What's your name and what are you doing at your booth here today?
My name's Diane, and we're from Langley actually, and we are supporting a campaign against Bill 36, which is the new Health Professions and Occupation Act. And the act imposes a lot of restrictions on all medical health professionals, not just doctors and nurses, but naturopaths, chiropractors, even midwives and herbalists. And it's going to change how healthcare in BC is run. It's going to be very restrictive government policies that will dictate what the health professionals can do and not do. And that's why we are on a campaign. It's called a postcard campaign, where we want all BC residents to sign postcards which are being sent to the MLAs to say, we want to get rid of this act. It was improperly brought in. There wasn't proper consultation, even though they claim there is. And there's a lot of people that aren't even aware of Bill 36. So that's what we're doing.
Part of Bill 36 that I understand, I found rather disturbing, was that the government can now go into any doctor's office and just take your medical file if they want.
That's right. They don't need a warrant or a court order, and it's at their discretion. And if somebody makes a complaint against a health professional, they're not required to tell that health professional who that complaint came from. And if they deem that the doctor or other health professional, for example, vitamin D is not recommended by the government, and if they find that the doctor tells their patient take vitamin D, they can actually have their license suspended, and there's fines of up to $200,000 and prison of 6 months. So a lot of doctors are retiring early because they don't want to be part of that medical system.
So now, from what I understand you're saying is that the patient can no longer really trust what the doctor's saying because the doctor's hands are tied. Their doctor isn't going to tell them.
Exactly. Well, if you look at our poster, we have a little cartoon, and the patient is saying, "Doctor, can I have your medical advice?" The doctor says, "I can give you a political one." And that's the crux of it, is doctors will no longer be able to practice as doctors and give their patients individual care. It will become a monetary or a monopoly on policies that even if the doctors do not agree, they have to comply or they will not be able to practice in BC.
What's the reaction of people when they find out from you what's going on?
Many people do not know it's happening. The mainstream media does not put out any of that information. So right now, I would say the majority of people are not aware of the implications of Bill 36. So without them not being aware, how can you stand up against it? I always think of it as the frog in the warm water. You put the frog in the water, it's, oh, the water feels great. And then they just keep adding and adding and heating it up until when are we going to jump out of that water before it's too late? Many people are not, but some of us are.
And are you folks involved with the nurses who were let go as well, or is that another group?
That is part and parcel. If you go to the doctors formed a website called CSSEM. It stands for Canadian Society of Science and Ethical Medicine, and they have included the nurses' experiences as well. In fact, there is, have you heard of the hidden health crisis? There's an 18-minute video of 6 nurses 6 nurses in BC who have all had various experiences, either being let go because they refused to take the jab or other reasons. And so that is part of the CSSEM website as well. So they are in conjunction with the nurses. Nurses also have, I think, a freedom to choose, and that is also linked to the doctor's website as well. So there is some coordination between all of them to try and help each other.
Is there anything I haven't asked you that you think is really important that people should know?
Well, if they don't stand up now to fight for our healthcare system, we are in a lot of trouble. We are not going to have a healthcare system that are going to support the people of BC.
Thank you, and I wish it was a happier Canada Day for you.
Me too, yes. But I'm always hopeful. And otherwise I wouldn't be doing this, and I think the saying that sticks with me is, if evil happens if good people do nothing. So I think we need to stand strong and keep fighting for what we believe in and for our freedom. Freedom doesn't come without a cost, and I think we've been too complacent. Canadians have had it so easy for so many years that we expect the freedom and rights to be there, and now we're learning that we have to fight for them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy Canada Day.
Yes, it's Happy Canada Day.
Well, there's been some horn honking and some hot dog eating and plenty of good food and friendships. For a lot of these people, relationships may be ended during the COVID times with family and or friends, relations. People had a lot of differences, and a lot of people have come down to be a part of this freedom movement and have made wonderful new friends. The people I've met, I gotta say, over the last couple of years are the salt of the earth. Wonderful, wonderful people. And it was just a tremendous honor to be down here and celebrate with them on this gorgeous, beautiful 1st of July, 2023, Canada Day. I'm Susan Einerson for My Town, Maple Ridge.